All right, today we are going to tackle one of the most fundamental and maybe one of the most misunderstood rules of the entire universe. Seriously, it's this hidden force that dictates why your room always gets messy, why relationships take constant work, and, get this, why time only ever moves forward. We're diving deep into entropy.
But let's start with something really simple. Think about this. You take a spoonful of jam, drop it in your yogurt, and you give it a stir. You get those beautiful swirls, right? Now, what if you tried to stir it the other way? Could you ever get that perfect dollop of jam back? No way. The more you stir, the messier it gets. That, right there, that one-way street, is a perfect everyday glimpse of entropy in action.
So, to figure out what's going on with our yogurt, we need to define what entropy actually is. And as you're about to see, it's not just some fancy science word, it's basically the universe's default setting.
Now this right here, this flips everything we think we know on its head. We tend to think of a clean, organized room as the normal state and the mess as something going wrong. But physics says the exact opposite is true. That clutter, that chaos, that's the default. The perfectly organized desk, the clean house, that's the illusion. That's the artificial state that we have to fight to create, and it's always, always temporary.
So here's the official definition, which we got from a physicist named Rudolf Clausius way back in 1865. Entropy is just a way to measure disorder. Think of a brand new deck of cards, all in order. That's low entropy. Now, shuffle them all up. That's high entropy. The universe, if you just leave it alone, is always, always shuffling the deck.
To really get this, let's look at the two biggest rules of energy. The first law of thermodynamics is pretty famous. You can't create or destroy energy. It just changes form. Simple enough. But it's the second law, that's our focus today, that has the big catch. It says that every single time energy changes form, like when you burn gas in your car, a big chunk of that energy just scatters. It becomes unusable waste heat. You can literally feel it radiating off the engine. That dispersed, useless heat is entropy, and in any closed system, it always goes up.
And here's where it gets really mind-bending. This unstoppable march towards disorder is deeply, fundamentally connected to how we experience time itself. In fact, entropy is the very thing that gives time its direction.
This is pretty much the only thing in all of physics that explains why the past is different from the future. The universe started in this incredibly ordered, low-entropy state. And the future? Well, the future is destined for much higher entropy, way more disorder. We're all just riding this wave from order to chaos. That's why we remember the past, but not the future. The egg will always scramble, but it will never unscramble itself. The yogurt will always get more mixed up.
And this quote from the physicist Carlo Rovelli just nails it. We think we run on energy, but what we really consume is order. Take food, for instance. A potato is a highly ordered, complex package of molecules. Our body takes that order, breaks it down to power ourselves, and then releases a bunch of less ordered waste and heat. We are literally consuming low entropy just to stay alive.
Okay, but wait a minute. This brings up a huge, beautiful paradox. If the entire universe is on a one-way trip to chaos, then how in the world are we here? How can something as incredibly complex and ordered as life even exist?
I mean, it's a fantastic question, right? We build skyscrapers, we write poetry, our own bodies are these unbelievably ordered biological machines. How is any of that possible if the number one rule of the cosmos is that disorder must always increase? Are we breaking the law?
Well, the answer is a kind of cosmic loophole. You see, the Earth isn't a closed box. It's an open system, and it's constantly being blasted with a massive amount of low-entropy energy from the sun. Life is incredibly clever. It grabs that energy to create these beautiful, temporary little pockets of order, like you and me. But here's the cost. To build that little pocket of order, life has to release an even greater amount of disorder, mostly as heat, back out into the universe. So life doesn't break the law at all. In a weird way, it's the universe's most sophisticated tool for creating more chaos.
And this is where the idea gets truly wild. Some physicists actually argue that evolution itself is driven by this law, that natural selection, over billions of years, has favored the life forms that are the absolute best at taking in ordered energy and spitting out disordered waste. From this point of view, life is basically the universe's most efficient engine for creating entropy.
So let's bring this all back down to Earth. This isn't just about the cosmos. This universal law has huge implications for how you live your life.
how you run a business, even how you manage your relationships.
I absolutely love this way of thinking about it. Entropy is like a tax. It's a tax you have to pay on absolutely everything, just for existing in time. You want to maintain your health, your home, your skills, you have to constantly pay that tax with your energy. If you stop paying, things inevitably and always fall apart. And you can see this tax in action everywhere. A clean room, that's low entropy. That's order. A cluttered mess is high entropy. To keep the room clean, you have to pay the energy tax. It's the same with your skills. Practice is you paying the tax to keep them sharp. If you stop, they get rusty. Entropy wins. And in a business, an aligned, efficient team is a low entropy system. Without constant effort, communication, training, reinforcement, it will naturally drift into chaos.
So, if you remember one thing, let it be this. You can't expect anything to just stay the way you left it. Not a friendship, not a muscle, not a project at work. Maintaining that order, just holding the line against chaos, requires a continuous, never-ending input of effort. It is the fundamental price of existence.
And when you apply this to a company, it's a total game changer. All those problems, miscommunication, people leaving, old systems breaking down, those aren't weird deviations from the plan. They are the plan. That is the natural, inevitable slide into chaos. A really successful organization gets this. They know that fighting that slide with training, better systems, and strong culture isn't a side project. It's the main thing. It is literally the price of growth.
So let's just pause and think about this for a second. This constant struggle against decay. Does it sound exhausting? Maybe even a little pointless? Well, maybe not. Just imagine a world with zero entropy. Nothing ever breaks. Nothing gets old. Nothing falls apart. Sounds kind of nice, but it would also be a world with no urgency, no need for change, and probably no reason to create anything new. So could it be that the struggle itself is the whole point? And that really leaves us with a final, pretty challenging thought. If the universe's natural tendency is toward randomness and decay, then every single act of creation, every friendship we build, every piece of art we make, every skill we learn, it's a small, beautiful, and temporary act of rebellion. It's a fight against the tide that we know we can't win in the long run. But maybe that struggle is what gives everything its meaning. The real question then isn't how do we stop entropy? It's what will you build with the time you have? What fleeting pockets of order will you choose to create?